Jealous people like to investigate and report your every move. Jealous, miserable people, they like to investigate your comings and goings and report back to their minions. Jealous people are confused admirers. They are people who sit back and observe everything you do and say without giving you any credit, without giving you any compliments, without giving you any acknowledgement, and it's simply because they want you to be their coffee table talk. Miserable people do things with the intent, or they watch you with the intent of trying to somehow bring shame, somehow trying to make you feel bad, somehow trying to hinder you in some way. When people are jealous and miserable about you and the things that you do and the impact that you're making and the way you're trying, people get threatened by somebody else trying to better themselves. And if you step outside your comfort zone and do things that make other people feel uncomfortable, they will definitely begin to become investigative journalists in your life. These people are reporters. They like to listen to the things that you do and say with the intention to report back to those who they think can be used to hinder your progress. Have you ever known of like miserable, jealous family members who will sit back and watch you from afar, and you know they're watching you from afar because you hear things about yourself through the grapevine, but they never say it directly to you? And they report back with the intention of somehow making you feel bad about the things that you do. And bear in mind, you may not be doing anything negative. You may be a woman who's trying to do the best she can as a woman, trying to be the best mother, the best worker, the best aunt, whomever. And because you are doing too much, you're trying too much, who are you to try to do these different types of things? Who are you to speak so much? Who are you to talk about these kind of things? They want to report back on you. They want to somehow hinder you and stop you from moving in that thing that you should be doing. Jealous people like to serve as a hindrance in the lives of others. And when you are doing too much, when you are going too far, they will start investigating and reporting. There is nobody more nosy or more investigative than a jealous person. And they do those kind of things because they want to somehow bring you shame. They want you to feel bad about your blessings. They want you to feel bad about your gifts. They want you to feel bad about your talents. They want you to feel bad for trying to do something different. Jealous, miserable people, because they don't have any goals or ambition of their own, they have to sit back and watch other people and spread lies, spread gossip, and spread rumors. And they're upset with you because despite them spreading lies, spreading rumors, and trying to get in the way, you still move forward. And jealous people, miserable people, do not like that. Their goal of investigating you, their goal of being all in your business, their goal of reporting back to whomever they think will hear is to stop you in your tracks so that you do not move forward in your life. Miserable people, they always have the details on other people's lives. They always have the details on the inside workings of somebody else's business, while their own lives tend to be falling apart. People like that you have to protect yourself from, because if given the opportunity, they will stop you in your tracks. They will take away any ambition, any encouragement, any drive you have to do the things that you're doing. They will take it from you. People like that cannot be trusted. And you can tell that you're dealing with an investigative spirit. That's something I just made up, but they have that investigative mentality where they're always trying to dig into what's going on in your life, dig into how are you doing this? How are you doing that? Jealous, miserable people, they always try to figure out how somebody's doing what they're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. Instead of giving more time and attention to their own lives, they're all wrapped up in yours. It's more like an obsession where they feel uncomfortable speaking to you, but they feel very comfortable speaking about you to the masses and in a negative way. I see that as a blessing in a way, because if you were not doing anything worth doing, nobody would be speaking. But since you're trying to be a better woman, since you're trying to be a better mother, since you're trying to be a better sister, since you're trying to accomplish so many different things in your life and you're trying to stay afloat, that is why jealous people investigate, and that's why they're giving you so much smoke. And that's okay. For me, that builds resilience, it builds endurance, and it reminds me that I'm on the right track. And it should remind you that you're on the right track. Nobody comes after anybody who's not doing anything. And when people are jealous and miserable, they just want to sit back and talk about all the things that you're doing in hopes that other people will somehow clown you and shame you and say things like, who does she think she is? But all that time, your influence is getting greater. All that time, you're being blessed in more ways. All that time, you are starting to have more peace in your own life. And it's simply because of those negative things they thought they could use against you, it's actually working out for you. See, miserable people, jealous people, what they don't understand is that the more they talk about you, the more attention they draw to you. The more people want to be all in your circle and see what you're about and see what you're doing. The more they try to make you look bad, the more they make themselves look bad. The more they make themselves look as if they have nothing going on for themselves except for being somebody else's business. Do you know how embarrassing it is for a woman, person for that matter, but especially a woman, over the age of 40? I say 40 because at that point you would think some women would know and have a little bit more class and decorum about themselves. But when you get to that point and you still are a researcher, you act like you're a part of the FBI, just digging into other people's lives just because you're trying to stir up some kind of issues in other people's lives and it backfires on them. And then people wonder why their lives are going down fast. It's because they're trying to mess with yours. People like that will never have any peace, never have any joy. They will never truly succeed in the things that they try to do simply because they keep trying to come after you. People who are trying to stir up drama in the lives of other people just because, those type of people never succeed. When people come at you about things that have nothing to do with them, simply because they see you doing something that is good for you, but it's outside the box, it's different. They're not used to seeing you in that light. They can get very uncomfortable with your progress. See, a jealous person, a miserable person, they don't like to see people striving to do better. They feel more comfortable with people in trauma. They feel more comfortable with you as long as you are not trying to do anything. As long as you're stifled and you're like fearful of everything, they absolutely love you. But the moment you're like, you know what? I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of being this way. I'm tired of wondering if I'm going to step out and find out. I'm going to try something new. Now it's like, okay, I got to investigate and see why she's doing this, how she's talking like this. And I know for some of us as women, especially us more reserved, more quiet girls, or people are perceiving us as quiet, when they see us doing things and saying things, it's like they got to run and tell somebody. I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her husband. I'm going to tell her dad. I'm going to tell her mom. And what is that supposed to do? Running and telling somebody what somebody else is doing in their own lives, that does nothing but elevate that person. It's giving them the opposite of what they want. They don't realize every time they put their mouth on you, they're actually elevating you in the eyes of other people. You might not be elevating yourself, but they're doing it for you. It's free publicity. So I look at having, jealous people, miserable people in your circle, and you should not have those kind of people in your circle. But people who are just bitter and miserable and just busybodies, I cannot stand that kind of thing. And if you are dealing with busybodies in your own life, where every time you make a move, you got somebody in your ear saying, so I heard you was doing this, what's going on with that? And it's not anything negative. You could have gotten a better job. You could have moved to a different area. You could have stopped a friendship, a relationship, what have you. And you have somebody in your ear saying, well, I heard this happen. What's going on? Let's start with the first part. You heard. Where did you hear this from? I can't stand when people start conversations like, I heard. That goes to show me that somewhere, somehow, there's an investigator in my life. that I need to get away from. Stay away from people who get around you with the intention to just investigate and be nosy in your life. Those type of people are jealous, miserable, negative people that you need to stay away from. I do not like nosiness. I do not like reporters. If you're going to report about me, report something that, is positive and spin it in a positive light. And see, jealous, miserable people, they are masters at knowing how to spin the positive into a negative. They are the ones who will see you maybe working hard in your career, working hard in your business, doing things that are actually going to help you and your family, and they'll spin it around to say something to the effect like, oh, well, this must be happening because she always working, or this is always happening, or they always doing this. It's something negative, a miserable, and forgive me if I'm a little bit passionate, but I cannot stand nosy people. I cannot stand busybodies who always have their mouths on somebody else, especially when they are the type of people that people really secretly do not like, but they tolerate. It's always those type of people. So when you're dealing with investigators, because jealous people like to investigate and speculate on the things that are happening in your life, just know that you are doing something right. Nobody comes for somebody who's not doing anything or accomplishing anything great in their life. And do not let it distract you, because I know that when people try to attempt to sabotage what you're doing simply because you're doing something that's uncomfortable for them, simply because you're doing something that, is outside of the bounds of how they see you. Because like I've said in previous videos, some people are only comfortable with you when you lack self-esteem, when you lack faith, and when you're not trying to do anything for yourself. But when you step out of that and you have bold faith, you have confidence, and look, you just want to try. I want to try something. There will be people who suddenly don't like you and take issue with you simply because you no longer want to be stuck. Simply because you no longer want to live in fear, simply because you no longer care what they think. There are some people who have so much of a desire to have control over you that the moment you say, I don't care what you say, I'm doing what I'm doing, they don't like you. And that's when the investigation starts. That's when the rumors start. That's when the lies start. That's when the trying to stir up things in your relationship starts. That's when trying to stir up drama in the family starts. That's when you get so busy doing all these things that you had no idea you were doing. They will act like you are going around terrorizing your city simply because you're doing something good. People who are jealous and miserable, they hate to see anybody, especially jealous, miserable women. They don't like seeing other women shine. They don't like seeing other women elevate in a positive way. And let me speak a little bit, because I have gotten requests about this, and I'm going to do a video on its own about the older women being jealous of the younger women. I have to say that there are some older women, not all, but there are some older women, because they have kind of an old school mindset where they don't realize that because of how the world is today, the world is crazy still, but because of the different opportunities as far as technology-wise, as far as business-wise, how women are becoming more savvy, a lot more women are choosing to do things easier if they can and not the hard way. And you have some older women who will see younger women thriving in different areas of business, finance, what have you, and they can't stand it. They will hate the fact that you have figured out an easier way to do the thing that took them 20 years to get or to learn. And that's their problem. You are not obligated to do things the hard way simply because doing it easier makes somebody uncomfortable. Jealous women like to see other women struggle. They like to see other women down bad. And when you don't give them that opportunity to see you in that light, they will not like you. And that's their problem. You are not obligated to struggle. You are not obligated to have depression. You are not obligated to have anxiety or be anxious simply because people are bothered by how you move in your life if you're doing things that are going to make it better for you. Mental illness in women, that is a real thing. And some people have normalized women, people in general, but I speak to women, Some people have normalized seeing a woman overly stressed, mentally unstable, falling apart. And unfortunately, in our community, we tend to look at things like that as like a sign of strength. But actually, it's a sign that you're about to fall apart and you need to slow down. And people who are jealous of you, if you don't give them that opportunity to see you falling to pieces simply because you're making decisions for your life that's going to allow you to rest and allow you to actually think before you make decisions, they don't like you. And that whole thinking before you make decisions things, when you actually have the opportunity to think about the things you want to do before you do it, you are less susceptible to people manipulating you, taking advantage of you, and overall making your life miserable. And who do you think doesn't like that? Jealous, miserable people. People who want to swoop in and distract and destroy everything that you are working so hard toward. If you are able to rest and think clearly, they know that they will not be able to get over on you the way they normally are. And that's where their investigation continues. So be mindful that the more you do better, and this is the whole message. If you watch this to this point, I appreciate you. But the point that is being made, the overarching theme, is that the better you try to do in your life, the more you're going to have people investigating, reporting, being jealous, being haters, and trying to sabotage and distract you at every moment. It just comes with the territory. Unless you plan to do nothing in your life, you have to anticipate having haters, negative spirits, the devil, whomever you would like to say, come at you. That is a very much real thing, and they'll use whoever to do it. So don't be surprised and keep moving forward anyway. All right? I don't understand. Why doesn't she like me? What did I do to her? Every time I see her, she's rolling her eyes at me, saying something under her breath, talking about me to somebody. How is she hating on me? How is she jealous of me? Why does she dislike me? What did I do? I don't understand. These might be some of the questions that you have had or once had about people who are jealous and hating on you for absolutely no reason. And to top it off, you don't know them. How do you deal with women who are jealous of you and you don't even know them? That is one of the most uncomfortable and awkward situations to be in, to be existing in your skin and have a woman that you do not know be jealous of you. Many women are jealous of women that they don't know because of the light that they carry. When you have a person who is jealous or envious of you and you've never spoken to that person, you've never had any close contact with that person, but you might be close enough to where they see you, they know you, they see how you move, but you haven't had interaction with them, those people are normally the ones who are watching you from afar. I hear people saying that, these monitoring spirits and all of that, and I don't like to get into all of that. Number one, because I don't see it written in scripture. But what I can say is that there are many demonic, wicked people who are put off by the light in other people. And I do see that. So when you have negative people, when you have negative energy draining people come into the presence of someone who has light and good positive vibes about themselves, and they carry themselves in a lighthearted way, oftentimes that will make you the target of someone's jealousy, someone's envy, someone's misery, especially when it is a woman. Women sometimes are the absolute worst to one another. And I'm going to go there, especially Black women. We have a tendency to treat each other horribly, and even when we don't know one another. It's not that you have a situation and you just don't like somebody for a reason. The first time meeting somebody, if you've been a Black woman for any length of time, you understand that sometimes going into the presence, especially if you're going into the presence of a group of Black women, You have to have a tough skin, sister. Like, you have to build yourself up enough and build up your confidence to walk into that room, because you really don't know what you're going into, especially if it's women that you don't know. You could be walking into, hey girl, hey, or you could be walking into, yeah, hey, yeah, oh, okay. You could be walking into that. So you really don't know. And what's sad is that I could walk into a room full of Susies and they'll be like, hey, how's it going? How are you? How's everything? Wonderful. Great. Oh, yeah. Come on over. Yeah, I'm going to introduce you to her. Yeah, come on over. Yeah, she's a part of the group too, guys. But we're not like that. All of that for us goes toward the men. Women who are normally, especially us, who are more jealous and envious toward other women that we don't know, we give all of our kiki and happiness and joy to men. And while we are feminine and we love men, we appreciate men, we're kind to them, a woman who can only find herself being kind to a man but can't extend that same kindness to a woman, that is normally a more masculine man, a more masculine woman, and a woman who is dealing with insecurity. When a woman is dealing with insecurity, she will extend grace to a man. She will, be in awe of a man, because there are a lot of women. And while I do believe in the masculine and the feminine and how they complement one another, you have a lot of women who are absolutely male identified. They only find their worth when they're interacting with a man. So they don't really understand how to coexist with other women in a healthy way. So all of her care, concern will be towards a man. Have you ever been in a situation where, something happened in the workplace and you might have been going through something, or a colleague of yours, and she's a woman, and all of the women tend not to really care. They're like, oh, whatever, she'll be all right. But let a man go through that same situation. Oh, they're coming to him. Oh, baby, let me get you some tea. Oh, I'm going to do this for you, do that for you. Nothing wrong with that. But the point I'm making is that women are very, reluctant to offer that same kind of help, that same kind of output to one another, that kind of grace, because of that jealous, envious nature that many women have. So a woman that you don't know being jealous of you, being envious of you, being catty and nasty towards you when you do not know her, number one, it's because of the light that you carry. Till this day, real story, real situation. I have a woman that I have not spoken to, maybe a hi, bye in passing. And every time she sees me, I don't know how that looked on camera, but she rolls her eyes. One time I was coming right in the door behind her and she just let the door slam right. She saw me coming and she let the door slam. I haven't done anything to this woman. Never. I didn't say a cross word to her, nothing. We had no situation. And every time she sees me working with someone, I'm smiling, talking, and she's like it just gets her gizzards. Like, I don't understand, I'm like, what is that? And bear in mind, we don't care about these things. We don't let these things stop us from existing in our skin. We don't let these things change our character. But I'm making a video and I talk about the observations. And I think women who are under the age of 30, a lot of women, when they're under the age of 30, they still struggle with trying to figure out why they're treated certain ways. Why do women act this way toward me? Because I know, under the age of 25, maybe up until the time I was about 28, 29, I used to let things like that bother me. I used to wonder, what did I do to her? Why is she treating me this way? I didn't do nothing to her. I speak to her. She doesn't even say anything to me. I didn't do anything to her. I used to think that way when I was in my 20s. I would always be wondering why. Like, how could she not like me? I didn't do anything to her. She doesn't have to like me. It doesn't have to be a reason, but it's just weird. And when I began to realize that, number one, everybody is not everybody's cup of tea. And that's just the way it is, be it positive or negative. You have some women who are more lighthearted, more girly, more feminine. And if a woman is more masculine and more of like the bro kind of girl, if she is insecure, she might not want to be around a woman who is more girly girl and doesn't like the things she likes. You know, that's her preference, that's her right. But if you have women who are so miserable to the point that they want to make your existence as miserable as possible, as in bullying you, as in trying to harm you in some way, that is when that becomes a problem. And you see those kind of things typically with women that don't even know you. I remember when I was 17 years old, between the ages of like 16 to 19, I worked at a smoothie shop in the mall. And, you know, I was those ages, you know, 15 to 19 years old. So I was a lot thinner than what I am now. I'm still kind of slim thick, but I was thinner then. And I wear my nice jeans and all of that. I never talked to this girl, but the men, the guys in the mall, you know, they liked me and all that stuff. And I was briefly dating one of the people she worked with at the store that was next to where I worked. And that girl, every time she saw me talking to him, saw me talking to a security guard, saw me talking to any man, she would just be rolling her eyes. I remember one time I was outside the window cleaning the window because, you know, the fruit is displayed and everything in the window. And she walked by and said, them tight A jeans. Who has to wear them tight A jeans to work? And all that kind of stuff. Like signs of a hater, you know? It's like those kind of things, those are real experiences for women. And if you internalize that stuff, and you allow it to affect you into your adulthood, you will very much be a woman who allows the comments and negative things that women have said to you to stop you from being great. And that's what we don't do. Those situations like that, I thank God for that kind of stuff. Number one, because I have a daughter. So I don't like to tell her too much of that stuff. Like, she doesn't know about that story, obviously, because why would I just randomly tell her that? But because of the things that I went through, I am more equipped to tell her just how catty and mean-spirited a lot of women can be, and prepare her in a way that allows her to expect it, but to not be impacted by it. And I think a lot of us, especially as Black women, our mothers coming up, you know, they didn't really prepare us for each other. They didn't prepare us to deal with other women like ourselves, especially in the Black community. And I keep saying that because a lot of what we've been taught to deal with is toxic. A lot of how we've been interacting with one another is toxic. Clowning somebody for wanting to be better in life, that is toxic. Clowning somebody because of their style of dress, because they choose to be more modest and not dress like, you know, a streetwalker, that's toxic. You know, so a lot of the things that we've been taught to that are normal are absolutely not. And am I thinking that, you know, with this kind of video that, you know, suddenly women are going to be these kind of persons that are, you know, oh, suddenly we're just sisterhood bound all over the world? Absolutely not. Because the nature of a lot of women is to be a hater, is to be jealous, is to be envious. But when you're dealing with that from people that you don't know, in my opinion, it's simply because of the light that you carry. When you are a woman that has ease and flow, and like I always say, and this is the foundation for me, and I know many others, I hope, when the foundation is God, and you really don't give that much thought to what other people think or what other people say, you're aware. Like, I'm very much aware of the things that I have been through, but because I was prepared for this, because God showed me how it would be, I don't let those things penetrate my heart and my mind. And a lot of women, unfortunately, do. So when you're dealing with a woman who is jealous and envious and negative towards you for no reason, when you haven't done anything to her, it is simply because of the light that you carry. And if you are a woman of influence, if you make an impact in your environment, if people gravitate to you, you have to expect that there's going to be at least one woman who cannot absolutely stand that. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to say, in our humanness, of course, if you feel insecure about something and you see somebody getting attention, that's going to make you feel some kind of way. But the issue is when people choose to take out their unfulfilled feelings, their insecurities on another person and try to make their life miserable, that is when it becomes an issue. And as women, as your confidence grows, as you understand your value and your self-worth, and number one, as you get closer to God, I hope, you will begin to recognize these things for what they are and not let it stop you from being who you are. And for many women, they have allowed what other women say, how other women act, to stop them from being in the kind of relationship they want to be in, pursuing the kind of career they want to pursue. Look, some people are afraid to ask for promotions because they're afraid of how their female coworkers are going to receive them. I don't want them to think that I'm better than them. I don't want them to think I went behind their back. So many women have blind loyalty to people who would not be loyal to you. I hear this all the time about, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that for people, and they don't do this. And my question, and it might sound bad, who asked you? See, you have to understand, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people, most people, are focusing on benefiting themselves. And while I don't live that way, and I don't encourage that you just be so self-absorbed, but you have to understand that at the end of everything, most people, it's always about themselves first. And when you recognize that, you will begin to, number one, seek guidance from God and then make moves. Not worrying about what somebody else thinks, not worrying about how they're going to look at you. It's like back in the day, and this is just a worldly term, they say darned if you do and darned if you don't. And that's really what it is. So as women, if you're dealing with somebody who might not mistreat you, but they have a little attitude towards you, it's clear they don't like you for some reason, let them have it. And most of the time, people who are like that, they're never bold enough to ever really approach you or, really be direct with you. It's just the microaggressions, the passive aggressive behavior. And as women, especially if you're an attractive woman, if you're a kind woman, if you are a woman that's simply existing in her skin, you have to expect that there are going to be jealous women. There are going to be women who are so put off by your light that they just want to see you go away. And you just have to accept that and let them be. And people like that, for me, I pray for them and stay out of the way because you don't know what demonic weirdness they're dealing with. And I just got this in my mind. I hear they could be having a bad day warriors coming up. Just because somebody's having a bad day, that doesn't give them the right to mistreat someone. That doesn't give them the right to make somebody else's day miserable because their day is miserable. Human beings have a way of trying to justify the unjustifiable. And that kind of logic is the reason why we have had so many mass circumstances, so many unalives, so many lives lost because people were having a bad day and lacked self-control. So somebody's bad day is not everybody else's problem. If you're having a bad day, stay yourself in the house. That's what I can tell you. But as women, we have to understand that the brighter your light shines, the more you will have people you don't know, be jealous and envious and just don't like you. And you have to be, like I've said in previous videos, you have to be okay with not being liked for absolutely no reason. I'm not saying that you out here starting trouble and, making people not like you. I mean, simply being the kind of person you are and not being liked. Simply being a light in a dark place and not being liked. That's just the way it is. All right? People find you absolutely fascinating, and that triggers your haters. That triggers jealous people. Have you ever been in a conversation where somebody was asking you something about what you're doing, what you're accomplishing? Maybe they're just interested in the things that you do. And as you were explaining those things, you look over to the side and you see that monitoring spirit, that person who's just looking at you with the skunk eye, all because you're explaining to someone what you do and how you operate and the things that you like. See, when people find you fascinating, when people take a genuine interest in you, you will always have some jealous woman sitting in the corner looking at you as if you are doing too much. Keep your intrigue. Being a woman of intrigue inspires other people to want to know more about you. And that is absolutely fascinating and great for a woman. It's not okay, in my opinion, to be boring. And when I say boring, I don't mean like you need to be going skydiving, you need to be doing all these things that put yourself in harm's way. But as a woman, you should have things that you are genuinely interested in and things that make you different than other women. And when you are that type of woman who's doing something outside of the status quo, you're doing something different than what everybody else is doing, you have to expect that people are going to find you interesting. And on the side of that, other people are going to find you absolutely annoying. They're going to be so triggered by the fact that you are a fascinating woman, that you are a woman of intrigue, that they will try to disrupt and interrupt the interactions that you have with other people. I remember having a situation where I was talking to a male coworker and I was telling him about what I do. And some woman on the side, I don't know who she is, I work for a big company, but I just looked over and she was just staring at me in this very odd way, as if she was repulsed by what I was saying. And I was simply explaining to him what I do as far as YouTube, as far as books, those kind of things. It wasn't bragging on myself. He asked, so I told him, and he found it absolutely fascinating. And I'm not saying this to brag on me, but I'm saying this to make the point that when you're a woman that, number one, you move mysteriously, and that what makes you a woman of intrigue. When you don't always tell people what you're doing and somehow they find out what you're doing and you begin to explain, that's exciting for another person, and that's exciting for you as well. It's better for someone to ask you what you're doing and then be surprised by what you do, rather than always having to prop yourself up in some way and then show yourself to not be doing that much. See, women who have that fake sense of authority, they tend to always prop themselves up, brag on themselves, because people don't take a genuine interest in the things they do and or say. But when you are the type of woman who actually has things going on and you quietly do those things and you just let the work show itself, that's when people take an interest in you. And in that interest that other people take in you, you will absolutely attract haters. And this is what you cannot do, because some women, women of intrigue, women who are fascinating, what you will tend to do, you will become discouraged by the stares, the looks, the side conversations of other jealous people, and stop doing you. And as a woman who is confident and leveled up, you cannot allow the snickers, conversations, and the little things that people say or how they look to stop you from being proud of the things that you do and the woman that you are. It is absolutely a wonderful thing to be a woman of intrigue, to be a woman of mystery, because you leave so many layers of yourself untouched that when other people get to know you, they don't even realize that it was just more to you than what they saw right in front of them. It's because you know how to leave something to mystery. And that's what a lot of women today, unfortunately, they do not know how to do. They feel like they have to put everything out on Front Street, as they say, in order to grab the attention of other people. But a woman of mystery, a woman of intrigue, she will actually attract people to her. And in doing that, they will want to know more about you. And it's not that you're even seeking that attention. That's just how you move, which will further irritate and trigger jealousy and envy in other people. And by no means am I saying that you're doing this to provoke people to jealousy, but being yourself, and especially if you're a mysterious woman, more of a private woman, you just operate that way, you will absolutely attract haters and jealous people, all because you don't put it all out there. Women truly have to master the art, in my opinion, of true class, decorum, and mystery. Being a woman of mystery is something that makes you more exciting and makes you stand out from the pack. If you are the type of woman who's quiet, and I'm not saying you have to be quiet, but a lot of times when you are a woman of mystery, you don't talk that much. You do more observing than you do talking. You do a lot more learning and listening than trying to just say whatever pops into your head. And when you operate that way, you have to expect that some women will think that you're conceited, you're bougie, you think you're better, all these different things, simply because you have a teachable spirit. simply because you're the type of woman who likes to absorb information so that you can use that information to benefit yourself. See, being a woman of mystery is not just about this mystique. It's not about a feminine mystique. It's actually about being the type of woman who grasps the things around her that are going to be beneficial to her to elevate herself and those around her. But if you're always talking, if you're always speaking, if you're the kind of woman who just says whatever pops into her head, you are going to make yourself look like a fool in front of other people. And that is not the perception that confident, feminine, wise women want to give. So when you operate more mysteriously, people will find you fascinating. And that's why I always say, as women, you need to have some kind of hobbies or something that you're working toward, something that you're working on. It doesn't have to be a big goal. It doesn't have to be you trying to take over a company. It doesn't have to be you trying to start a business, but you should be doing something that is taking you to the next level, be it spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. You should be working on something. And I say that not just for your benefit, but you want to be able to, and a little bit of a sidebar, people, this whole conversation about what do women bring to the table, when you are a feminine woman, your presence, your essence, and the way you operate, that's what you bring to the table. When you are uniquely you and you're doing things that make you different, when you're doing things that don't make you codependent, because that's another thing that a lot of women suffer from. And this is the reason why some women get jealous of women that have their own things going on. And it's because they are so codependent on other people. Some women have made men their entire identity. And even if you're a married woman, your husband should not be your entire identity. You should have things going on for yourself aside from your husband. He is a part of your life, but he is not your identity. And when you have yourself wrapped up in other people, not just a spouse, but if your whole identity is what you do for a living. And some women who are jealous of other women, oftentimes, it's because they see women who are not always so wrapped up by what they do for a living, by what they have, by who they have, but they have hobbies and things they actually enjoy, which actually makes you even more fascinating. I'm so surprised at how many people, when I talk to them about me doing YouTube, they actually find it fascinating. And for me, I'm like, YouTube's been around for at least 20 years, 25 years now. I'm not the only one to do this, but it's something about somebody like me. It's like they never would have thought. And once again, I'm not saying that to prop myself up. I'm saying that as an example of when you do things differently than what people expect you to do, that makes you fascinating, and it also attracts haters. You're not trying to attract haters, but you will anytime you're a woman who's trying to do things that are bettering herself. And once again, it doesn't have to be a business. It can be something as you going to, yoga, not yoga, I don't really like yoga, but Zumba classes or aerobics, or you're a boxer. You're a feminine woman, but you do boxing. That's unique. You are a creator in some way. As women, we have so many creative abilities. I believe that's just the nature God gave us as women, to be creative and to operate in that softer side of ourselves. And in doing that, we find our uniqueness. And when you're doing something different than the bunch, you have to expect that they're going to be jealous, give you the skunk eye, give you their attitudes. In the beginning, when you're a woman who is leaning into her softer side, once you start doing that, what you'll see is that certain types of women will be repelled by you. Women who are more masculine in nature and want you to be masculine too, and you're not giving them that, they will be repulsed by you. Women who always want to fuss and fight and argue and want everything to be hard, they're going to take an issue with you actually talking about the positive things that you're doing, especially when it brings attention to yourself. And I want to stay on that for a moment. I understand, and a lot of us, especially if you're, spiritual, you're a believer, we're not really supposed to prop ourselves up, constantly brag on ourselves, but there's nothing wrong, and this is the way I believe, in telling people about what God is doing in your life and how you're operating and, the things you're able to accomplish, and just talking about, especially when somebody asks, don't just sit around talking about yourself. That's not what I'm talking about, not in a narcissistic kind of way. People throw that word out a lot, but I'm not talking about just bragging on yourself in a narcissistic way. I'm talking about, as women, we have to get comfortable when asked, what do you do? Or what do you like to do? Or, oh, I heard you were doing this. And you start explaining and actually excited about the things you're doing. When I talk about this YouTube channel, I'm actually excited about it. When I talk about my other business endeavors, the books that I'm an author, I've been writing books for the past 8 years. And only recently have I started referring to myself as an author. And you know why? It's because I was kind of put off by the looks I would get from people, certain people. When I referred to myself as an author, as a business owner, they would give me those looks like whatever. And because of that, for a very long time, I let it stop me. I actually let it dim my light. I let it stop me from being proud in a healthy way of the things that I was able to do by the grace of God. And that's one thing we don't want to do. Ladies, as I have said in previous videos, if you're going to be a woman who's going outside the box and doing things differently than what other women, other people are doing, you are going to attract haters. And that's just the way it is. And you cannot dim your light or, shrink down in order to make other people feel comfortable. And from a business perspective and from a financially leveling up perspective, we can't afford to do that. And that's another thing that snapped me right out of that, shrinking down and not really wanting to talk about what I do. Because once I realized that you don't really get the blessing or the goal or the thing you're trying to accomplish if you're always quiet and shrinking yourself back. It's like they have this saying in the world, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. It's like you have not because you ask not, same kind of alignment. If you are always shrinking yourself down and so afraid to be seen and not talking about what you're doing out of fear of other people's looks and what they're going to say, then you will never accomplish anything. I would not be, and I don't want to say this in the wrong way because by no stretch of the imagination am I exactly where I want to be, but I would not be as far as I have come right now if I continue to allow myself to shrink down because I was discouraged by the dirty looks, side conversations of jealous people who didn't want to see me accomplish certain things. If I allowed their little attitudes and moods to stop me, I would not be on YouTube right now. So as women, I just give you that sidebar to encourage you that it's okay to be seen. It's okay to tell people what you're doing. If you're in business, you have to talk about your business to an extent. Otherwise, you're not going to make money. You're not going to make sales. And people who want to hold you back, and I'm going to touch on this for a minute because a lot of people, when it comes to money, that's one of the things that a lot of women, they get jealous of other women the most because they see them thriving financially. And it's not always about looks. It's not always about buying stylish luxury brand items. If you have enough money to do whatever you want to do and do it comfortably, people will be jealous of that. And people will try to get you to believe that just because you're not wasting your money on luxury items and spending it recklessly and wastefully, that somehow, oh, you're capping. That's the thing the kids say, cap, saying you're lying. You have nothing to prove. So ladies, just know when you become a more mysterious, leveled up woman, you're going to have all kind of naysayers trying to say what you're not doing, what you should be doing. You're lying, you're faking. None of that stuff matters. Women of intrigue, women of mystery, we like to keep people guessing. We like to keep people on their toes. We don't want to put everything all out there. Being an open book, and it took me many years to realize this, being an open book is not wise. It's not one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm one way a different time and then I'm a different way, but you don't want to put everything out there because as I've said before, a lot of people, they do not have your well-being in mind. And when people are jealous and envious of you, being an open book, you can absolutely give them the ammunition that they're seeking to use against you. It's better for people to kind of assume what they want than for you to tell them everything and give them ammunition to use against you. But as women of intrigue, as you depend on, as you continue to level up and do the things that you want to do, people are going to find you more fascinating, and that's going to attract haters. That's going to attract people that's going to look at you as if you have no business talking about your business. You have no business, having a conversation, telling people about what you do. That's their problem. Don't stop talking. Don't stop doing the things that you do. And by no means do you allow someone to stop you from being that fabulous, fascinating woman. Being boring helps no one. If you're a woman and you're in a circle of people where they don't do anything except for sit around and just watch TV, nothing wrong with that. Everybody doesn't have all these extravagant things or hobbies and stuff that they're doing. But the issue comes in when people who don't do those things try to make life hard for people who do. And that's another thing you'll run into. When you are a fascinating woman, a mysterious woman, a woman who is doing things outside of the box, you may encounter people who are going to deliberately try to make life hard for you. They might be triggered by the fact that things appear to be going a little bit too smooth for you. I have experienced that in my life recently, where everything's going great at the job. You know, people are appreciative of me. They're saying different things. And there's always that one person, that one coworker who's trying to sabotage you in some way. They're trying to get at you in some way. And it's all because other people are appreciating you. They find you fascinating. They appreciate what you do. They appreciate who you are. And swoops, here goes the hater, trying to make things harder than what it has to be. It just comes with the territory. But being aware of those things is going to help you to confidently navigate life while you level up amongst your haters. So ladies, do not allow people to cause you to shrink back. Talk about the things that you do. Be confident. I'm not saying be narcissistic about it, because I can hear somebody now saying, oh, narcissist, you just want to talk about yourself. You think you're this, you think you're that. This is not about what you think. It's about how other people perceive you. And sometimes, no matter how much you carry yourself as a classy, wise woman trying to keep the peace, there are some people who just do not want peace with you, all because they are jealous and intimidated by the fact that people find you fascinating. Keep doing you and don't let anybody dim your light. All right? Some people cannot receive from you because it's you. When someone has jealousy and envy in their heart towards you, anything you say, be it right or wrong, they will not be able to receive it. Whether you're telling them the truth about something, they will not be able to receive it. When someone has animosity and tension towards you, when somebody looks at you as if everything that you have you do not deserve, they will think everything you say is negative. They will think everything you say is wrong. They will think that your very words that you speak to them is meant to be malicious and somehow trying to come against them. You see, when people are insecure about themselves, they take everything you say personally. They take everything that you say to them as some kind of hit against their pride or their ego. Dealing with insecure people, people who have hidden jealousy, people who are envious of you, can be very exhausting and very draining. And when you are a person who is naturally a person who wants to help and encourage other people, when someone looks at you as if you think you're better than them, you think you know everything, you think this, it's because of their own insecurity. And the reason why people who are often more secure in who they are, people who have more hope, who have a little bit more ambition, do well with people who do not know them opposed to people in their immediate circle, it's because they are too familiar with you. I always say I thank God for the kindness of strangers, because if it wasn't for people that I don't know, I wouldn't be as far along as I am right now. See, people who are your immediate circle, oftentimes they cannot receive you because they're too comfortable. They're so comfortable that they don't feel like they need to give you the full respect that you deserve, whether it be in just word or in deeds. When a person, let's say yourself, you're starting a business, you're doing different things, and you want somebody to be there to encourage you and support you, people who are too familiar with you will look at what you're doing as if it's something minor, as if it's a little hobby, as if it's something that doesn't really make a difference in the world. But when you're dealing with someone who really doesn't know you and they see the impact that you're making, they are more apt to support you. Have you ever wondered why, if you ever sell a product, family and friends are always asking you for a discount? They want to know, okay, can you give me a hookup? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And my question is, when you walk into Target, when you walk into Walmart, when you walk into different establishments, do you go in asking them for a discount? Do you go in asking them for a hookup? But because it's you, because you're family, and even if you're not family, let's just take it a step further. Let's say you're a woman and you're a woman of color, because in some people's eyes, black equals discount. And I'm telling you right now, it does not. You see, people who are a little bit envious and people who kind of don't really value you in that way, they feel like they can always get something for nothing from you. They act like there's nothing required of them in order for you to really be that kind of person you need to be to them, and for them to be who they need to be to you. They're always trying to give you the bare minimum. That is the point that I'm making. And when you are a person who understands that you are worthy of more than just the bare minimum, people who are envious and jealous and think that you don't deserve what you have anyway, they will be less apt to be in your corner. And they will begin to look at you as if you are the enemy for having a standard. So what can you do when you find yourself in the position of dealing with a person who doesn't really value yourself, who doesn't really understand that just because it's you, that doesn't mean that you're not worthy of all of the respect and support that you deserve? My advice is that you do not lean on your immediate circle so much. Now, many people have very supportive friends and family, but the truth is many people do not. Many people have friends and family that want them to do well, but just not as well as them. They want to see them eat, but just not as well as them. They want to see them have a house, just not as nice as them. They want to see their children do well, just not as well as their children. As weird as that may sound, there are people out there that think that way. And when you have the potential on your life to do so well, when they see that you're wise, that you're smart, that you're kind, that you have favor with other people, they are less apt to help you because they feel like you don't deserve any of that anyway. And that sucks. But as a woman, as a confident woman, you must understand that no matter what somebody else might think about you, no matter what somebody else might think that you don't deserve, if God has favor on your life and you're doing what you know to do, then you will get everything that you deserve. You will have supportive people in your circle who might not be blood relation, but they will be there to support you. You will have people that are not going to try to ask you to downgrade your value because they feel like you're not worth it. When somebody asks you to downgrade your value, you're selling something, you're offering something, and they say, hey, I want a discount, you can't hook me up, it's because they don't see the value in what you've done. To me, as a business owner and as a content creator, I think that is one of the most insulting things that someone can do. They don't understand the time and energy and attention that you put into a thing. And because of that, when they see the finished product, they're like, oh, can you give me a discount? Not understanding that you might have paid money for that. You took your time creating it. You created it with care, that you're doing it from a place of love and genuine caring for the people that you're serving. But when people have that entitlement spirit, and there are a lot of people who have that entitlement spirit, they think because you have, they're supposed to automatically have. And that often happens with family members. Now, I'm not saying that you don't help your family. I'm not saying that you don't be there to encourage and support. But it took me a while to realize, especially being a person that's a person of faith, and sometimes when you are a faithful person, you take things out of context and start thinking that you can allow people to run over you or take advantage of you, and somehow that's virtuous. No, know your worth. There is a time for charity and there's a time to get paid. There's a time to just offer words of encouragement, and there are times when people need to be encouraging and supporting you. You cannot always pour from an empty well. You should never do that. And you should never allow people to make you believe that you're not deserving of everything that you have. People who are envious and jealous, they want you to think that there's some way you got lucky, or some way, you must have did something shady, or some other kind of theory they come up with to try to make you feel like you're not deserving of what you have. People who are envious and jealous, they will often feel like, okay, who are you to tell me anything? And it's just because it's you. And when people look at you in that way, it's because they think of themselves in such a low way that they look at you as if you are better than them. That's really what they're thinking. They're thinking that you are better than them, that they will never be able to get to the point where you are because their mindset is not where it needs to be. Many people have this everything has to be hard mindset, everything has to be struggle, everything has to be strife. And when people think like that and they come across somebody who is relatively positive and hopeful and doing the things that they set out to do, they will look at you as if, oh, I don't want to hear that from you. They will go to somebody else and get the same advice, same encouragement, same instruction, but because you said it, they could not receive it. That is just something you're going to have to become accustomed to as you grow in your confidence as a woman. As you become a more elevated mindset woman, as you grow in your faith, as you grow in your confidence, you will have to get accustomed to people being threatened by you just because it's you, because of the light that you carry, because of the way you talk, the way you speak. You speak with so much certainty and assertiveness in your voice. People who are not ready to receive from you, they need you to dumb it down a little bit so they can tolerate it. They need you to be a little bit timid, a little bit shy. They need you to be a little bit like unsure of yourself for them to be sure of themselves. And I say, people like that, you never dumb yourself down with. So just know that when you begin to come up a little bit, when you begin to get more confident and feel encouraged and you're doing things, that will breed envy and jealousy from other people. And you might see this sometimes in the workplace too, where you might know more than the boss. And I'm going to have a whole video on dealing with the envious manager, dealing with a jealous manager, because there are a lot of employees who are working for people in environments where they know more than the employer. But because of that, they treat you a little bit differently. They want to remind you to stay in your lane as the employee and that they're your boss. But I'm going to get into that in another video. Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. Only because it's you that they can't receive from you. But don't let that discourage you. Keep spreading light, keep spreading encouragement, and don't let people make you shrink back out of fear of what they think of you. All right?